Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Feige was almost fired back in 2015. Really interesting news. Now, for those that weren't aware, there was a previous regime. Marvel Entertainment had a CEO called Ike Perlmutter. Now, they had, between him and Kevin Feige, really bad blood. Ike Perlmutter is notorious in the industry as being a real big penny pincher. So much so that he wouldn't even get drinks out and refreshments for people. I get it, it's not a given, but that's just as an example of his penny pinching. And the bad blood between Kevin Feige and Ike Perlmutter is very well documented. However, it has now come to light exactly how much bad blood that was. And in fact, that Ike Perlmutter attempted to take what can only be described as drastic measures to remove what he considered his rival from a prominent position of power, aka Kevin Feige, and trying to get him fired. So, very, very interesting stuff. We're going to dive into this today, ladies and gents. Please do hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you here more often. And please do give the video a like and a share if you can. Would love it. So, dive into this. The MCU itself has become one of the largest franchises of all time. It's a bit of an inarguable fact at this point. The statistics bear it out, and although it's definitely on the decline now, it still has become a behemoth, a juggernaut. And a large part of that is, of course, down to Kevin Feige. No one will argue that. No one will argue that. Just as the downfall will be, in large part, down to Kevin Feige. But it could have been much, much different if Ike Perlmutter had got his way. So these are obviously two notable executives, and they were constantly clashing. Ike Perlmutter and our lovely friend Kevin Feige. So interestingly enough, our brand new CEO, or the same boss as the old boss, is the new boss, CEO Bob Iger, revealed in an interview with CNBC that Ike Perlmutter was preparing to fire Kevin Feige until Bob Iger stepped in. Apparently, Iger's meddling, this is a quote, meddling made Perlmutter unhappy, an unhappiness that exists today. Basically, this chap likes to bear a grudge. Goodness me. So here's the quote direct from Bob Iger himself. I knew I had to intervene. And so, in May 2015, I made the decision to split Marvel's movie-making unit from the rest of Marvel and bring it under Alan Horn and the Walt Disney Studios. Kevin would now report directly to Alan and would benefit from his experience, and the tensions that had built up between him and the New York office would be alleviated. Okay. In terms of the tensions itself, we don't really know. There's not that much more revealed to us in this interview. We can only imagine Kevin Feige was trying to get more control, maybe more control over the comics, maybe just more control in general. Maybe Perlmutter was trying to jam his face into the MCU. I mean, there's a notoriously interesting quote from Perlmutter about swapping out of War Machine actor. Basically, no one would notice. Was essentially the it's an abbreviation. It's not a direct quote. It's a summary, but pretty notorious quote. So he liked to get involved. But of course, there you have it in terms of that. Very interesting nonetheless. Very, very, very interesting. The fact that they had to intervene. The fact that Perlmutter was trying to get Kevin Feige fired because tensions were so tight. Now, I do wonder if the MCU would have fared differently under Ike Perlmutter. And of course, the answer is yes. Unequivocally yes, because Ike Perlmutter, not exactly a comic lover. He's a businessman and a penny pincher at that. Not someone that particularly loves comics. And realistically, a terrible chap to be in charge of making comic book movies. But nonetheless, a very interesting revelation and something which I thought you would enjoy. So I'd love to hear it. What do you guys think would have happened if Ike Perlmutter... Well, one, is Ike Perlmutter someone you were even aware of, for starters? But secondly, what do you think would have happened? And do you now, all things considered, what's going on in the world with respect to Disney, do you think Bob Iger made the right decision? Because, of course, the general direction that Marvel has been going in hasn't exactly been great. I'm sure lots of people would agree with that, as well as lots of people disagreeing. But nonetheless, I do find it an interesting thought experiment. And I find it interesting as well that that was the avenue they took. We'll just split it up. We'll move, Marvel from the rest of everything else. Marvel's movie-making unit. We'll split it from Marvel itself. And that'll just be its own thing. It'll be under Alan Horn. Alan Horn will direct that and sort of move that forward. Now, of course, Kevin Feige himself has numerous elements of power now. And I wonder whether that was the right decision. Again, I would say largely yes, because of course we've had some very good movies under Kevin Feige's tenure. But unfortunately, and I will say this, I think it's probably because of Bob Iger himself and his general affiliations and ideologies. I think it's actually Bob Iger's element that is now sweeping in. Although maybe Kevin Feige was always this chap that was going to lead the MCU down this path. What do you guys think? Or do you think it's largely because of Bob Iger himself? I'd love to hear it, so drop it down below. If you're new here, like I said, please do hit subscribe. Would love to have you here more often. If you enjoyed this video, this style of video, the images, things like that, hit that thumbs up button. Let me know down below. Trying to sweep in some of my older style content. The discussion pieces are, of course, important, but I want to bring you guys some more straight up news as well. And this is pretty big news. We heard elements of this back in the day, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop it down below. Cheers, guys. Hope you have a great evening. Hope you have a great day, week, whatever it is. Take care.